welcome everyone to Quick Tips of Buying a Home. My name is Tristan.ritchie. I'm a real estate investor and a real estate sales representative with Coldwell Banker Charles Marsh Real Estate. And I have here a buddy and a colleague of mine, Josh Domenku. He's an expert in his field. He's a mortgage agent with Dominion Lending, so he knows all about the mortgage process, which is what we're going to talk about. So the pre-qualification and the pre-approval. So why are these good to get before you start looking for a home? Well, first of all, they tell you exactly what you can afford. Not exactly, but in the rough area. So you know when you tell your agent, I want to look between, let's say, 180 and 200,000. The second is when you do put in an offer, you have negotiation power because the seller knows that you can afford the home, and there's less chances of it falling through due to financing, which is one of the main reasons that deals usually fall through. So let's get into it a little bit, Josh. So what's a pre-qualification?
So pre-qualification is basically the first step when you've made the decision that you want to buy a home. So at this point in the process, you're still not sure maybe the location, exactly when you want to buy a home, but you want to get a better idea of what you can afford. So what you're going to do is you're going to give me a call. It takes 15-20 minutes over the phone. I'll ask you a few questions, your income amount, current debts that you have, and based on those numbers I'll be able to give you a ballpark of how much you can afford, and that's a great start. So that'll give you a good direction of where your price range will be.
So quick and easy. Like Josh said, you can call him up, just do it over the phone. You can either do it in his office if you have more in-depth questions you want to ask, or you can do it online with the link that we're going to post down below, and it's, like he said, 15-20 minutes. So what's the difference between a pre-qualification and pre-approval? So the pre-approval is a little bit more structured, right? It's a little more thorough?
Exactly. It's a little bit more thorough. So I'll go through a little bit of a run-through of what would happen if you guys were to come in to meet me for a pre-approval. So I would meet you at the front door. We'd go into my office, obviously introduce myself, shake your hand. And before this, I would have asked you to bring in some proof of income. So I would ask you to bring in a pay stub, something within the last 30 days, a notice of assessment, preferably from the previous year. That's what the government sends you after you filed your taxes. You can access this online, or a T4.
That's to verify that you have the money to make the payments, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So we would sit down and we would do a mortgage application together. So again, ask some pretty simple information: your name, birth date, address, how long you've lived there, get your employer's information, and then I would fill in your income details based on your pay stub. So it's got accurate information based on the money that you actually make, which is making everybody's lives easier later on down the line and making the whole process a lot smoother. So what we would do next is we would talk about your down payment. So you would let me know where it's coming from. Maybe it's a gift, maybe you've had it in savings. We would just make sure that it's eligible to be used.
90 days in the bank account, right?
Yes, exactly.
I made a video of that earlier, by the way.
Yeah, so then once we get the down payment and the income figured out, then we're going to move on to the credit check. So we're going to pull your credit, we're going to go over it and make sure there's no previous credit issues that are going to be a problem. We're going to take a look at the past debts you've had, make sure you've been able to manage them well, because the banks want to see that you've been able to manage more than one debt at a time, right? They prefer two.
So for a first-time home buyer, someone that's looking to buy a house in the near future, how important is having these credit products, and how many do you need preferably? Like, what do banks like to see in your account or in your history?
Preferably you want to have two that are open.
Okay.
So 2 credit cards, a credit card and a car loan, something like that. They want to see that you're able to have debt, manage debt, and be able to pay it on time, because they're lending you money based on this information on top of your income as well. So again, this isn't a full approval, so we would go through this process, and at the end of it, we would come up with a number. So let's say 200,000. Once we have a number, I'd be able to tell you what your mortgage payments are, and maybe you're not comfortable with that mortgage payment. So we would say, okay, you're approved up to 200,000, but as far as your budget, your monthly budget for mortgage payments go, we got to stay under 175. So it gives you peace of mind. You have a pretty good idea of what your payments will be at the end of the day, and it gives you a good starting point for when you go into the house buying process.
Yeah, Josh will work with you with whatever you feel comfortable with doing. He's great for that, and also, it's not a full approval like Josh said. So when you go into negotiations, or when you get approved, your offer gets accepted, then you submit all the paperwork, and then you get the actual full approval later on. So just a pre-approval, so you know what you're most likely to be approved for. Am I right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. The full approval can't be submitted until there's an accepted offer. That's why we do the pre-approval, and we move forward with that.
Perfect. Well, guys, that's it for today. If you learned anything, we'd really appreciate a like or a comment. Worked really hard on this. Took us a few takes, actually. Anyways, yeah, so our social media, websites, everything's going to be down below. And if you have any questions or any concerns for the future, please feel free to reach out to me or Josh. We'd love to answer your questions. And that's it for today, like I said. So have a great day. Thanks for listening.
Take care.